Our story begins on board of a Republic Venator aboard the planet Tyth as Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are preparing their men for takeoff. The mission on Tyth was just a wild goose chase for Dooku that ultimately came up short. But now they were being sent to Urbana, where the Separatists were holding the planet hostage. For Anakin, this was just another mission in a long line of missions in the Outer Rim. Sure, the Separatists were seemingly being pushed back more and more every day, but there was no sign of the war ending anytime soon. He did enjoy the company of Obi-Wan and the clones enough, but the constant nights on the uncomfortable sleeping pod in this Venator, or the repetitive meals, just made him miss spending nights with his wife even more. When Anakin wasn't in battle, he was always thinking about Padmé. One of the reasons why he rarely complained about being thrusted into battle after battle was because of the distractions it provided. When flying his starship through space, or cutting down waves of battle droids, Anakin's mind was clear for a change. It was hard to describe for Anakin, but flying and fighting were what he was best at, and he knew it. So when the call came for Urbana, Anakin prepared as he always did. But first, he wanted to contact Padmé. They'd been away from each other for at least 5 or 6 months now, and he snuck into an abandoned barracks room and placed the hologram projector down. Then, he waited. It was a bit rare for Padmé to take these calls, as she was just as busy as him most days, trying to negotiate a peaceful end to this war. But today, Padmé was available. She answered, and almost immediately Anakin could sense something was off. She looked sick and weakened, but she assured Anakin that she was alright when he asked what was going on. But Anakin knew better, and he began pressing her, asking what is going on, feeling stressed that he couldn't be with her. Padmé again said she was fine, but her hand moved to her stomach, and Anakin's heart dropped and started beating with excitement at the same time, as he realized what was going on. He asked if she was pregnant, and Padmé looked up with a smile, saying yes. She knew for a few months now, but she didn't want to distract Anakin in combat. Padmé also revealed she's been sick for a few days, and she plans to go in to the doctor to see if anything is actually wrong. Anakin's mind was spinning, and he told Padmé that he would bring her. She looked up in confusion, saying she just read a report that he was going to Urbana, but Anakin said that would have to wait. He was coming home to her, and if the Council or the Chancellor have a problem, then that is too bad. Padmé urged Anakin to stay, saying everything is fine, but Anakin decided enough is enough. He's been stuck in the Outer Rim for far too long. Urbana would have to be fought without him, so Anakin ended the call, telling Padmé he would see her very soon. And he recorded a hologram message for Obi-Wan and the others before getting into his starship and leaving the Venator without authorization. As Anakin left, Obi-Wan was alerted of this departure, and he asked Yularen and the clones on the bridge what exactly was going on. Yularen said it appears as if Skywalker's ship has departed, and then he told Obi-Wan that a message has come in for him. Obi-Wan shook his head in disappointment and said he will take this message in his barracks. So Obi-Wan hurried through the ship, and once he was alone, he switched on the hologram. It was Anakin, smiling more than Obi-Wan had seen in a while, and he told Obi-Wan that he has to go. Anakin knew he was going to need a good excuse, so he told the truth. He said Padmé was pregnant, and she needs him. Anakin wasn't exactly thinking straight in all of his excitement. He was ready to leave the Order and just spend his life with Padmé. He didn't care who knew. All he cared about was his wife and unborn child. Obi-Wan had to hide his true feelings of happiness for his former students, and instead he contacted the Jedi Council, requesting reinforcements to make up for Anakin's sudden departure. Obi-Wan didn't disclose much to the Council, only that Anakin wasn't feeling well at all, and the constant battles were wearing him down emotionally and physically. The Council heard quite a lot of this these days. Every day, more Jedi were losing battles or were just not fit to fight due to the dragging war. They were not trained for this, and so the Council would send out Master Fisto to aid Obi-Wan on Urbana. On Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker would soon enter the planet, flying down to Padmé's apartment as quickly as he could. He would find Padmé laying down on the couch with a medical droid, scanning some tests, and she assured Anakin that everything came back fine. The two of them would share a long embrace, and Anakin said he will leave the Order today if he has to. He will leave it all behind, and they can live their life happily with their children. Padmé laughed at him, telling Anakin to slow down. There are still so many beings suffering in this galaxy, and it's still up to them to end this war soon. Anakin knew she was right, but for now, they would just need to be together. On Nirvana, Obi-Wan, Kit Fisto, the 212th, and the 501st were in a hard-fought battle, taking victory over the Separatists, when a call came from someone named Fulcrum. It turned out to be Ahsoka Tano, contacting the Jedi for the first time since leaving the Order, and she was hoping to get help on Mandalore to deal with Maul. After long discussions, Rex would negotiate splitting the 501st in half, and it would be agreed upon. During all of this on Coruscant, Anakin and Padmé were in a speeder together, flying back to her apartment. Today was a rather busy day, as Padmé just attended the Chancellor's State of the Republic address, along with some after-parties, while Anakin was back in the temple, apologizing for leaving Obi-Wan alone without proper warning. Anakin did feel bad about it now, but in the end he was just happy to be with his wife. But as Anakin turned a corner, past a group of skyscrapers, and got a view of the sky, his heart dropped. An entire fleet of Separatist warships emerged above the planet from a hidden hyperspace lane, and began ambushing the Republic blockade. Anakin felt panic rising inside of him, but he forced himself to calm down, centering his thoughts, and he activated his Jedi beacon to get information directly from the temple. Mace Windu's voice was calling out to different Jedi, giving them direct orders. Saesee Tiin was to lead the air defense. Windu and Aegon Kolar were going to defend the Senate. Yoda was going to take to the streets with many other masters and knights, and with Anakin on world, Windu knew there was no one better to protect Palpatine, so he assigned Anakin to go to the Chancellor's office, where Stas Ali and Shaak Ti will also be waiting. Anakin looked at Padmé, and with a smile that said no going back now, he jolted the speeder towards the executive building. Padmé made sure her blaster was ready, and she held on as Anakin expertly flew the speeder down to the building, where waves of droids were fighting with Shaak Ti, Stas Ali, and a group of senators. Anakin leapt out, igniting his blade, cutting them down from behind, before joining up with the other two Jedi. Shaak Ti told Anakin that he should go to Palpatine, and she and Ali will protect the senators. Bail Organa and Mon Mothma were the only surviving senators in this group, and Padmé would join up with them, telling Anakin to go save the Chancellor. And so, Anakin took off, sprinting up the stairs and into the office, where Palpatine was looking out of his window, patiently watching this battle. When Palpatine heard Anakin's urgent voice behind him, he closed his eyes in sudden anger. He did not know that Anakin returned to Coruscant. How did this happen without him knowing, he asked himself. Anakin was supposed to rescue him from Dooku. It was going to be his first true steps into the dark side. But now plans would have to change. Anakin urgently said they need to get Palpatine to a safe bunker, but Palpatine calmly disagreed, saying there's truly nowhere safer than his office. But not a second after these words left his mouth, the Republic gunships circling outside of the building erupted, and from the smoke emerged a squad of Separatist ships, led by none other than General Grievous. Anakin ordered Palpatine to run as Grievous got to the window, breaking through it, igniting all 4 of his blades. Anakin stood, igniting his as well, and he looked at Grievous's hands a bit more closely, noticing that 2 of the sabers belonged to Shaak Ti and Stas Ali. Grievous laughed, telling Anakin these sabers will make an excellent addition to his collection, but then saying that Anakin's saber will be his most prized possession. Anakin's head was swirling. Masters T and Ali were supposed to be protecting Padmé. Anakin feared the worst, but he told Palpatine to run. Unfortunately, there was nowhere to go, as Magna Guards ran up the stairs, surrounding the other entrance. Anakin was preparing himself for an ultimate battle that even he wasn't sure if he could win. In the streets below, Mon Mothma was trying to shake Padmé awake. Bail Organa and a few Senate guards were holding off nearby droids, as Padmé finally did begin to wake up, and she quickly saw the slain bodies of Shaak Ti and Stas Ali. Padmé remembered moments ago, she was in a transport with the Jedi when Grievous attacked, looking for Palpatine. If he didn't have a mission to get to the Chancellor, he would have killed the senators too. But there was no need. They were alive, and Padmé got up, running down the streets to get to safety with Bail and Mon, hoping Anakin was alright. In the office, Anakin Skywalker and Palpatine were being circled by Grievous and his guards, and with a low, mechanical laugh escaping Grievous, Anakin stood ready, lightsaber ignited, and Grievous charged forward first, his forearms unleashing an assault of spinning lightsabers. Each strike was a heavy blow on Anakin's strength. Anakin defended himself furiously, his own movements powerful, controlled as he matched Grievous blow for blow, spinning to cut one of his hands away. But before he could continue the counterattack, The Magna Guards closed in, their electrostaffs crackling with energy as they attempted to flank him. One of the staffs plunged into Anakin's back, and Grievous punched him to the floor. Anakin was scrambling to his feet, now forced into a defensive stance, spinning his blade around to cut through two of the guards and defend a new onslaught from Grievous. Anakin ducked beneath one swing, redirecting another guard with the Force, slamming it against the far wall, but Grievous, unrelenting, pressed forward, his three remaining blades swiping high and low, as Anakin blocked a devastating overhead strike. But a well-placed thrust from the final Magna Guard caught Anakin in the side, sending him stumbling backwards once again, and Grievous lunged extremely quickly, forcing Anakin to retreat, but the speed, the intensity of the strikes became far too much to handle. Grievous drove his lightsabers against Anakin, pushing him back towards the office's wide window, and a sudden move from the cyborg general caught Anakin off guard as Grievous grabbed Anakin's mechanical wrist, crushing it with his metal grip. Anakin's saber fell to the floor, and with a victorious laugh, Grievous kicked Anakin hard square in the chest, lifting him off his feet, sending Anakin tumbling through the open window. Anakin began falling through the air, helpless as he watched Palpatine's office fade from view. He slammed into parts of the curving roof again and again, unable to stop himself, his vision going blurry as he landed hard on his back on an emergency door platform, going unconscious with the sounds of battle surrounding him. Grievous and his Magna Guards turned to the Chancellor, victorious. Palpatine carried a genuinely worried look on his face now. Anakin was key to his plans, and he may have just been killed. Grievous reached down, grabbing Anakin's lightsaber, and he pushed Palpatine onto his ship as they were about to begin flying up to the Invisible Hand flagship. The Battle of Coruscant continued, even as reports began to spread throughout the Republic of Palpatine's potential capture. And on the ground, the Jedi and the clones were pushing back the Separatist assault, and in space, the battle was enormous, complete chaos, and Anakin slowly opened his eyes, wiping blood from his head, remembering what happened. Grievous. Anakin looked up to the stars where he could see the faint outlines of the huge ships and the constant lasers going at each other, and Anakin stood back up, using the Force to break through the emergency doors. He began running through the hallway, but suddenly had to come to a halt as he heard a familiar voice. It was Dooku, and Anakin peered through a vent to see one of Palpatine's most loyal advisors, Sate Pestage, speaking to Dooku himself, updating him on what is going on. Anakin initially thought Pestage was a traitor, but quickly he heard something that made Anakin freeze, realizing it wasn't only Sate Pestage that was the traitor. Pestage told Dooku that everything, almost everything, was going according to plan, except for the one part. Anakin was already on planet and has been taken care of by Grievous. Dooku said this is unfortunate, as Palpatine was hoping to bring him to their side on the ship. Dooku thought for a moment, then said that perhaps Obi-Wan will make a fine replacement, as he and Palpatine have occasionally had discussions over whether Kenobi would make a better Sith than Skywalker. Pestage said this will do, and Dooku said he was about to board the Invisible Hand ship before ending this call. And in the halls above the office Pestage was in, Anakin was filled with a sudden anger and betrayal. He still wasn't sure if Padmé was even alive. But now he knew one thing for certain. This entire thing was staged. This entire time, Palpatine and Dooku have been working together. Palpatine has been the Sith Master, Darth Sidious, this entire time. Anakin reached through the vents, grabbing the throat of Pestage with the Force. He knew of this. Pestage was lifted into the air as Anakin jumped down and fear was filling his eyes, as Anakin called him a traitor, before twisting his wrist and Pestage was dropped to the floor. Anakin was all in on getting revenge now. He used the same communicator in this office, contacting the Republic Defense Fleet in space, telling all of them to focus every bit of firepower possible on the Invisible Hand. Grievous and Dooku are in there. And at once, most of the commanders asked about Palpatine, and Anakin replied simply saying that Palpatine is dead, and everyone began to follow Anakin's orders. In space, Palpatine was seated in a chair in the observation spire, with Dooku next to him and Grievous back on the bridge. They were discussing plans to win this war, with Palpatine becoming Emperor despite Anakin's loss, when things began to shift. Every single nearby Republic ship began pouring heavy firepower into the Invisible Hand, causing the ship to begin shaking violently. Palpatine and Dooku stood to run to the hangar, as this was not at all part of the plan. The Republic ships were supposed to assume he was alive and obviously not shoot at his ship. But something has changed. Before the two Sith could get to the elevator, the spire began to erupt in a fiery explosion, taking the Sith down with them. The explosion spread from the spire to the hangar, all the way to the bridge, where Grievous was trying to get the ship into an available lane to jump to hyperspace. He was cursing Dooku's plans to have them sit in the middle of this battle. It never made any sense to him, and now everything was falling apart. The ship was beginning to truly erupt, and it began falling into the Coruscant atmosphere. Anakin stepped back out of the emergency door, and he watched this ship falling into the abandoned area of the industrial sector. The Sith and key Separatist leaders were inside as it exploded into the ground, killing Sidious, Dooku, and Grievous. And it wouldn't take long from here for the rest of the Separatist alliance to begin gathering in space for a large retreat. The Republic won, but horrible rumors began to spread, rumors that the Chancellor has died. In the aftermath of everything, Anakin would wait for hours in Padmé's apartment, extremely stressed out, until finally, she came home. Anakin ran and hugged her like never before, and he told her everything. The Senate and the Jedi Council would gather together as Anakin and Padmé would reveal what he knew to be true, and of course everyone was beyond shocked. But the war was still going on, and they needed new leadership. Bail Organa was put into the position of Chancellor, and the Jedi Council was asked to find signs of Palpatine being a traitor, just as Anakin said. After a couple of weeks, the Separatists would be forced to officially surrender to Chancellor Organa and to the Republic. Evidence was uncovered from the destroyed Invisible Hand flagship, along with the Sith lair near where the ship crashed. On the ship, Palpatine's body was found to have a red lightsaber hidden inside of his robes, and while looking for evidence, Anakin was aboard this Invisible Hand when he found Grievous's destroyed body, and inside of his cape, Anakin grabbed his lightsaber back from Grievous, along with the sabers of Stas Ali and Shakti. He knew they fell defending the Republic against an extremely corrupt attack, and Anakin wanted to have them buried with their sabers. Obi-Wan was never called for this battle, as it ended before any confirmation of Palpatine's true capture, and instead, the Council sent him to Mandalore to aid Ahsoka. On Mandalore, Kenobi and Ahsoka ended up fighting Maul together, capturing and arresting him, and it was some closure for Obi-Wan to defeat Maul in the same throne room where Maul killed Satine so long ago. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka would return to Coruscant, finding Anakin with Padmé, as Obi-Wan would congratulate the two of them. The galaxy would end up moving forward with Bail Organa, and Anakin never had nightmares of Padmé dying, so when she gave a safe birth, he moved to Naboo with her, where they set up near Padmé's family to raise the twins to eventually become Jedi in a newly peaceful galaxy. Anakin didn't exactly leave the Order, but he was taking a long time away as the Council was allowing him to stay with Padmé after proving his loyalty in battle versus the Separatists. Anakin still felt extremely betrayed by the man he saw as a father, but he did what he had to do, and in time, Luke and Leia would be brought to the temple. When this time came, Luke would be trained by Plo Koon, and Leia trained by Ahsoka, who Master Anakin Skywalker convinced to return to the Order. The two of them would train with Skywalker and Kenobi also watching over them, and they would become extremely powerful members of the always growing Jedi Order as they continue to expand into the galaxy with the aid of Chancellor Organa. And folks, that is our story for today. This one was interesting. I think I did one like this a while back. Obviously, we're gonna not get super repetitive, but we're gonna tie stories close to what I've done before, but I always try to make them different. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. It's not often that we have Anakin lose a lightsaber battle, so I wanted to explore that path in this one. There could have been a few different routes to take from there. Maybe Grievous decides to jump to hyperspace. Maybe a different Jedi intercepts Grievous as he's trying to get to the Invisible Hand. There's a lot of different paths I could have taken. Maybe Kenobi goes to the ship and we go from there. I don't know. But ultimately I decided to just have Anakin faithfully find out, the truth in this building, as Palpatine's most loyal advisors would be trying to frantically make up for the error in this entire plan, with Anakin unfortunately being on world, unfortunately for Palpatine, and Dooku needing to be informed of this. So, hope you guys enjoyed this story. Let me know what you thought, of course, and let me know what you want to see next. I've got some really good ideas that I came up with last night, just scavenging my own brain. So, got a lot of good ideas coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.